She isn't coming, the waiter whispered, just seconds before I heard the softest, shaking voice behind me say, "Sir, see, can I warm up inside just for a moment?" I had been sitting in that small cafe for almost 2 hours, staring at the untouched cup of coffee in front of me. My blind date was already embarrassingly late, and every time the door chimed, I sat up straighter hoping it was her. She never appeared. The waiter approached softly and said, "Sir, I don't think she's coming." Those words stung more than I wanted to admit. I tried to smile, but inside I felt the familiar ache of being overlooked. As I stood to leave, brushing the disappointment off my shoulders, I heard a trembling voice from behind me. "Yes, sir. Please, could I come in for a minute? It's freezing." I turned and saw a young woman standing in the doorway, snow piled on her shoulders, her arms wrapped tightly around a tiny little boy whose cheeks were red from the cold. They looked exhausted, like winter itself had been chasing them. The waiter hesitated, glancing at the clothes, sign he had just flipped, but something in me reacted faster than thought. "Come in," I said, taking a step toward them. "Please sit. You both look frozen." The relief in her eyes hit me like a wave. She whispered a soft, "Thank you," the kind of thank you that carries more weight than words. She settled her son into a chair, rubbing his hands to warm them. The child had a calm, quiet stare of someone who'd seen more worry than playtime. "I'm Anna," she said quietly. I'm sorry to bother you. We missed the bus, and I didn't want him standing in the snow any longer." But the way she said it told me there was more to the story. More fear behind her voice than a missed bus could explain. I ordered them hot chocolate before she could refuse. When the cups arrived, her son cupped his tightly, as if afraid it might disappear. She watched him drink with a mixture of love and guilt, so strong it filled the room. "Rough night?" I asked gently. She looked at me for a long time, deciding whether she could trust me with the truth. Finally, she said, "I left our old place tonight. I didn't have anywhere lined up yet. I just needed to get my son somewhere warm." Her voice cracked, but she didn't cry. She didn't seem like someone who allowed herself the luxury of breaking down. I felt something shift inside me, something heavy and protective all at once. "Look," I said softly, "I know we just met, but you two shouldn't be out in this weather. Let me help." She shook her head quickly. No, you've already done enough. We'll go once he warms up." Her eyes flickered with embarrassment, but also fear. Fear of being a burden, fear of being judged. But kindness doesn't wait for perfect timing. "I insist," I said. "At least let me get you a safe place to stay tonight." She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at her son, at his tired eyes, at the way he leaned into her shoulder and slowly nodded. Not for herself, but for him. I drove them to a small, quiet hotel and paid for a room. As we reached the door, her son tugged at my coat. "Are you an angel?" he whispered. The innocence in his voice nearly broke me. "No, buddy," I said with a smile. "Just someone who got tired of eating alone." Anna's eyes filled with tears she'd been holding in for too long. Why are you doing this?" she asked. I didn't know how to explain it. Maybe because I knew what loneliness felt like. Maybe because my blind date didn't show up. Maybe because kindness had shown up for me in moments I didn't deserve it. Because someone should. I finally said. The next morning, I returned with breakfast. When Anna opened the door, she looked different, still tired, but lighter. "I found a small job nearby," she said, "and the shelter offered support for us. We're going to be okay." There was hope in her voice. Real hope. And something else, gratitude that didn't need big words. Over the next few months, we stayed in touch. She worked hard, built stability, and her son started school. Kindness had become the spark that rebuilt her life. One evening, when I invited them for dinner, her son ran up and hugged me. "Mom says you're our miracle," he said proudly. Anna smiled shyly. "You didn't just help us that night," she said softly. "You reminded me that the world still has good people." I wanted to tell her she deserved more than survival. She deserved warmth, care, happiness. But the words stayed in my chest. Months later, she asked if we could talk. She looked nervous, like she had the night we first met. But this time, her voice didn't shake. "I want to start over," she said. Not just life, but with someone I trust. Someone kind. Someone like you. Hearing those words felt like a quiet sunrise. And that night, I realized something powerful. The blind date that never showed up led me to the two people who were always meant to walk into my life. The twist wasn't heartbreak. It was discovering that kindness I gave away came back to me as a family I never expected. Moral: sometimes life breaks your plans to give you something far more beautiful. Led with kindness, you never know whose life you'll save, including your own.